Cheers. Alright, you bastards. This is Some-Belgian-prepper, and today I want to talk about the 10 commandments for preppers. But before we start, like, subscribe, and if you're interested in a detective story, take a look in the description. There will be a link to my book called Bloody Crosses. It's in Dutch, so take a look if you want. So, the 10 commandments for preppers. Let's start with the first one, of course. And the first one is, be peaceful, but be prepared for war. Yeah, I always say, try to use violence as a last resort, but if you're going to fight, fight like you're the third monkey on the ramp to Noah's Ark, and brother, it starts raining. So, yeah, it's like actually the art of war. The excellence of battles are not to fight 100 battles and win 100 battles, but to win the war without fighting. So my philosophy is the same with everyday life, especially with violence. I'm a calm person. I always try to avoid fights, conflicts, arguments. But if you get me so far that I need to use violence, I will not hold in. I will destroy. I will incapacitate. You know what I mean? Till the threat is no longer a threat. But there's a whole bridge you need to pass before you get me that far. But once you're there, there is no point of return. The second one is, the second commandment is, help others to their needs, but not to their wants. What do I mean by that? It doesn't matter whether it's a survival situation, a disaster situation, or just everyday life. If you are going to help someone, help them to what they need, but nothing more, even if they ask for it. Because if you are putting time, effort, resources to somebody, then they should be thankful that they got help in the first place for what they got. I don't say you don't have to give pennies to a homeless person, for example, but an example is, a few days ago, I was walking down the street and some guy asked me for money. You could see that this person lived a little bit rough, so it was understandable, and he asked for if he could get €1 for the train. I accepted. I gave him that guy €1 because I understand that life is hard. But the moment I gave the euro, he asked, "Could you spare some more for something else?" For something else, I don't remember exactly what he asked for, but that in my own fault, I gave it him. I gave him extra 50 cents, but it's not about whether I could spend the 50 cents. It's about making a point. If you need help and somebody gives you help, I think it's very unpolite and disrespectful to ask for more. So yeah, I know that's perhaps sounds a little bit crude, but it's something that I find that is a matter of respect. So if you help somebody, that person should be grateful for the help that you give, even if they think it's not enough. But like I said, it's to their needs and not their wants. So help them sufficient that they can carry on for the next day or whatever they have to do, travel to a certain location or whatever. Give them enough for that. But if they come back for more and they have not learned to use what you gave them as help or resources, then it's up to them. Then there is something, then you cannot encourage that behavior, that they will not help themselves. It's, what is it like? How does that Bible thing go? Give a man a fish and he has a fish, but teach a man to fish and he will fish for he can catch all the fish himself, or something like that. But it's something like that. It's just a boundary of respect, in my opinion. Number 3, skills before supplies. It is very important as a prepper or survivalist that you can rely more on your skills. I don't say you don't need supplies. I'm just saying try to try to learn the skills, the knowledge, the adaptation, the that you can do more with less. That you in every situation that you are in, you know how to get water, how to make a fire, how to find some food to get to the next point. That is what I mean by that. So I see a lot of preppers just buying supplies, buying foods, buying gear, and don't they don't learn to work with it proficiently enough. Is what I'm trying to say. If you catch my drift. So yeah, that's why I say try to do more with less. Try to be more dependent on your skills rather than the supplies that you have, because when you lose your supplies, you can't do anything if you don't have the skills or knowledge. So yeah. Number 4, don't be paranoid, but be cautious. And that is something that is a public image of preppers, that preppers are more of a paranoid bunch with guns that see in everything a threat. And it's an image that even I get portrayed on by some people, because they think that I prepare for things for yeah, I prepare for everything, but they think that I live in a fear. But I don't live in fear, because I have trust in my own skills, adaptation, and knowledge to go into any situation. But there are a lot of preppers that are paranoid. They believe in certain conspiracy theories. They believe that a disaster will happen any second. Right now we have, so yeah, that's that state of fear, and state of fear or paranoid is not healthy for yourself and the portraying to other people in your life. So that's why I say don't be paranoid, but be cautious. Don't be too relaxed either, and that's where the caution part is in. If you watch the news, for example, an example is before COVID started, I was at my mother's home, and my parents were watching the news, and my mother was so worried about the situation with Trump and Iran with the nuclear. How do you say this? Well, how do you say it? With the declaration that Iran, that how do you say this? I don't know the English word. It's about that they could investigate if Iran sent observers, that they don't make nuclear weapons, and Iran would get their assets back or something. And then there was a conflict and tension, and there were nuclear tensions, they say. And my mother was so afraid for atomic weapons that she did not realize the news flash that came behind it, and that was that there was a mysterious virus showing up in China. And I was not paranoid about the nuclear tension between America and Iran, but I was very cautious about this virus in China, and I was right in that moment. And yeah, it helped me to prepare a little bit the more I look into it, and it helped me to prepare a little bit for the COVID pandemic. So yeah, like I said, be cautious and not paranoid. So number 5, always have a plan for a failing plan. What do I mean by that? If you have a plan, how does that military say go? Every battle plan does not survive first contact with an enemy. That is actually the same thing. What I'm trying to say is, if you have a plan does not matter what kind of plan. If you have a bug out plan, a bug in plan, a homestead, or whatever plan you got for your survival, in which situation you got, always prepare for a plan B. If you got a plan B, prepare for a plan C, and so on. Because if you have a plan A, that's your plan. But if you have the resources, the foresight, the planning, the skills to have a plan B, then that's even better, because now you got 2 plans actually, for in case of the first fail. But you have another plan, and even if that plan fail, try to find a way of a scenario that a plan C could work. And that is what I try to say. So it's like taking steps. If you plan for taking a first step and plan to see where you land for if you fall with your first step, and where you can put your second step, and that way you can keep walking with every pit that you got on your road, if that makes some sense. So, commandment 6: jump rope with pain and pleasure. What do I mean by that? I say that people always try to avoid pain, which is logical. But in my opinion, you should sometimes feel hunger. Sometimes you need to know what thirst is. Sometimes you need to feel the pain of going above your level in like with physical, as in a sport or the gym or whatever. Try to find your limits. Try to cross them to know where they are, and that will give you valuable lessons about your personal limits mentally and physically, and you will never get too accustomed to luxury, is perhaps a good way to say it, because it's all about keeping balance. If you know what is pain, you know what pleasure is, and you have more pleasure of it. And if you know what pleasure is, you need the pain to keep knowing, appreciating the pleasure. So that's why I'm trying to say to jump rope with it. Uh, try to skip a meal. Try to take a bike ride, or by going by foot instead of going to a comfy warm car in the rain. Try to harden yourself, is perhaps what I'm trying to say, and that way you will have more appreciation. You see a lot of these people who try to avoid every pain possible, and yeah, they don't appreciate the level of comfort, luxury, and good health that they have if they never experience the bad side, the painful sides. So that's what I'm trying to say as a prepper. Don't try to get too far into either of the experience, because if you experience too much pleasure, you you become a snob. You don't know what the bad side is, and that will be harder to adapt when things are going bad. The same thing goes for pain. If you are too much into pain, you are always pushing your limits too far. You will always think negative. You will always experience bad things and painful things. You will also get accustomed to that, and that will make you a more bitter person. It will uh, make you not at ease when there are good times. It's very hard to adapt to that too. So try to keep a balance. Try to jump rope with it. All right. 7. Live to die another day. What do I mean by that? I talk about sometimes you have to burn a bridge to get to the next bridge. What do I mean by that? Sometimes you have to give in. Sometimes you have to endure pain. Sometimes you have to endure loss. Sometimes you have to endure ridicule, or sometimes you have to do something like that. An example, an example is if you get a ticket from an officer because you drove 51 in a 50 zone. Yeah, that sucks. But there will be more problems by fighting the ticket than to just accept it. Some people will say, no, I will stand by my principles. I will fight it. It was only 1 mile or 1 kilometer per hour over the speeding limit. But you will lose more times. You will lose more time, resources, and other things by fighting something small like that. So sometimes you just have to let things go. Sometimes you lose something and you cannot get it back. Sometimes you forgot your cell phone at home and you will have to endure the day without your cell phone. Bad luck, but you have to accept it. And that's what I mean by living our day. It's like a bug out vehicle. You have, I would say, if you're going to build a bug out vehicle, always be prepared to toss it aside because there is a roadblock that you cannot go further into safety. You can stay with the vehicle and try to find a more difficult route, but there's more chance that you will lose your life with it. So that's what I'm trying to say is sometimes you have to make choices that are very hard to take as a person, but you have to accept it so you can go on for another day. And yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. uh, all right. 8, grow more than you take. And what do I mean by that? It's very hard to, for example, if you have a garden, it's very hard to grow more crops or nutritional plants than you actually take, because yeah, you don't, not everyone has a farm. But what I'm trying to say is, whatever you do as a prepper, whatever you're buying, you're trying to undertake, try to make it beneficial for the future. That's the growing part. Growing is not only the things that you can physically take, it's all about experience. It's about making yourself mentally and physical harder. It's about getting through hard times to appreciate the good times. And that's the growing part. Uh, Perhaps this sounds a little bit ridiculous, but that's the way I see it. Uh, there are certain things that certain people that only take. These are the people that only. These are the people that like to destroy something, some things, because they get a kick out of it. But after the kick, they don't have the thing anymore. So yeah, if you maintain your car, that's the growing part, and you will learn how to maintain it. You will have a car. But if you are just going YOLO through life, crash the car, you lost the car, and that's irresponsible behavior that is not beneficial to your towards your life and survival plans. So yeah, I know it sounds a little bit weird, but try to think a little bit with my mind, because it's a damn good whiskey, and I will not do retakes with this video. All right. Commandment 9. Be 19% low tech and 10% high tech. Many people will disagree with this, but in my opinion, it's better to do as much things low tech than with modern technological gadgets. So I try to do everything low tech instead of buying one of those, for example, those very lightweight jackets that can go through any weather. Yeah, those are very pricey also, but they work very well. But I prefer to use like a woolen trench coat. I stand by it. I know it's more heavier, bulkier, but it's more durable, it's cheaper, it's it has properties like it retains 80% of its insulation value. Even when it gets wet, it will not tear that easily. It can be it's a little bit balanced. It's not waterproof, but it's also a little bit water resistance. So yeah, and with a modern jacket, yeah, it works very good, but it will rip easily. It's very expensive, and you cannot sit too close to a campfire because the materials are not natural and they will sort of melt or get holes by glints that come from the fire. So yeah, that's what I mean by that I prefer to do things low tech, because when there is no power, if it's very hard to live off grid and still be high tech technological, because you need a lot of power for that. And then you have more windmills, for example, and solar power, but those are things that people can see from further away, and yeah, you will be detected very easily in a shit hit advanced situation. So that's what I mean by trying to do things more low tech, because those things are easier to repair, they're more durable, and you don't need an engineer's degree to repair high tech stuff. So yeah, that's what I'm trying to say with this. I know not many people will agree with it, but I'm a person who prefer things low tech. And the last one, this might sound a little bit weird, but party with life, but accept that you will have to take a ride back home with death. And this might sound a little bit morbid, but it's about accepting that life is limited. Life is precious because you only have one life, and you have to accept that we all going to die someday. I'm going to die, you're going to die, your family going to die, your loved ones going to die. Someday your children will going to die, hopefully later. But death, if you can accept death, then it's like earlier, like I said, if you can accept that, you will enjoy and appreciate life more. And it will also take the fear away. And if the fear is taken away for that, you will go smoother through life, in my opinion. I don't say to try to how do you say this, to distract yourself so much that you will not think about it. I'm talking about accepting death. Enjoy every day. When you step out of bed, be grateful that you got up out of bed and you can do the things that you want to do. It sounds a little bit grim, but as a prepper, as a survivalist, it will mentally make you stronger, in my opinion. That you know that you're alive, and I will try to party with this precious thing, this precious life, this precious party that we call life. Stay as long in this party that as you can, and but accept that at the outside of the party, death will be waiting in a car to take you wherever it will take you. So yeah, I know there's a little bit of a crude ending for this Ten Commandments, but yeah, what are you gonna do about it? Think about it, about the things that I say, and hopefully it will help you think. Like, subscribe, and give me your thoughts about whatever you heard me blabbering about this. But these were my sincere thoughts about if there were 10 commandments for prepping, these should be included in them. So yeah, I think I'm done now. So enjoy life, and live in balance is perhaps a good way to end this. Have the day you deserve, and yeah, see you next video. Cheers.